Okay, it seems we are live. Hi everyone, a very good evening. And I, Bushra, will be hosting this session today. So I hope everybody is doing great. So people who had attended our previous WC session would probably know that our expert counselor had spoken about standardized tests at an undergrad level. So we had taken your queries regarding SATs, ACTs. We've also spoken, our expert had spoken about English proficiency test as well. So today, after this undergrad session, we decided to go with more specific, especially at post-grad level. So many students ask these questions specifically for the student who are targeting, business program abroad. They ask the question that whether GMAT is the right choice or GRE should be the perfect option for them to start off. So our counselor, our expert, Ms. Parmita Sarma will be taking your queries. So our chat box is also open for you to write your questions if you have any specific questions regarding your profile or the program, or the topic is standardized tests, specifically GMAT and GRE. We'll also be taking the questions towards the end of this session. So just stay tuned with us. I have also an announcement which I will be talking about towards the end of it. Right. So, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Bushra. So any time frame, should we look at it around 40 minutes or maybe half an hour and then open it for question answers?
Absolutely. I think 20 minutes to 30 minutes is fine, and then we'll open the chat box for questions.
All right, great. So as Bushra already told you, this is a series of weekly career classes that we have planned out for the students who are aspiring to study abroad. So definitely in this, we would come up with a lot of things. Today, we will be speaking on one part or, rather a small aspect of the standardized test. I remember doing a weekly career class on the English standardized test where we spoke of, the TOEFL, the IELTS, the PT or the Duolingo. So in that series of standardized tests, today we will be speaking about GRE and the GMAT. Now, who would like to take the GRE and the GMAT? So these are basically for those students who are aspiring to do their masters abroad. So it could be masters, in sciences, any fields in humanities. It could also be, looking for a MBA or getting into a business school, right? So the obvious question is like, is it something that a GRE and a GMAT can be taken only by student or should be taken by student who is aspiring to go overseas? I would say maybe not, because we have a lot of institutes, and B schools in India as well, which accept this score. So why should one take, such a test, or, what is the advantage or disadvantage, I would say. So very frankly, there is no disadvantage if if you can prepare yourself well, put yourself into, rigorous mode, because this test would any day test you on your reasoning, on your aptitude, on your vocabulary. So you need to be aware that, these are tests which are accepted widely, right? In not only in India, not only overseas, like even in India, we do have central universities and B schools accepting this score. The right time to prepare or look for whether you should take this test, when you should take this test, I always tell my students, also during different webinars and workshop that I do say that it's never too early to start, right? So for my students here who are attending it, maybe in the Zoom, or maybe if you're attending it in the YouTube channel, this is for all those students. I would say it will benefit you more when you're in your second year of graduation. This is the right time to actually think about it, process yourself, try and find out, if you're looking out to take a standardized test, which would be the standardized test. Any day, all said and done, this test does require a lot of preparation from your side. Okay, so with this, I would present my screen. Bushra, do let me know if you can see. It's visible, right?
Yes, it's on.
Yeah. So a lot of students do come up asking these questions, which do I take? Do I take the GMAT or the GRE? I remember last year there was a student who did his BBA, and we went ahead and he was preparing for his GMAT, but there were certain things that you were not very clear, and then we actually asked him to why not take the GRE, right? So there are ways how you can decide for yourself which of the two tests you can be taking, and this is what would be our entire discussion or takeaway for you as to how do you choose between a graduate standardized test or a graduate aptitude test, whether you would be a good fit to take a GRE or whether you would be a good fit to take a GMAT. So we will be discussing that. We will be taking few parameters. I'll be telling you a little bit about the course structure. So lot of times the people say that if you're looking to do your business studies or if you're looking for an MBA, it is GMAT that you should be doing. And if you're not very sure as to what you want to do and you're looking for sciences or certain master's program in liberal arts or humanities, you can be taking the GRE. However, this is only partially true. Though when you're applying to B schools, you would find that the acceptance of a GMAT is much higher than a GRE. But it all boils down to how the student perceives both the tests and how comfortable you are taking either of the tests. You have to choose whether you're really looking for a GMAT or you're looking for a GRE. All right. Students, I believe students who generally come from the science background, they find the GRE comfortable. And students who are basically looking at getting into B school, they prepare themselves for the GMAT. But again, there is an asterisk there. This is only partially true. We will see how we can narrow down our choices, how we can look for what actually matters, okay, while applying to colleges. Fine. So let us just look at a few differences here. When we look at the GRE and the GMAT from the test perspective, what are the test structure, what are the different sections that are there? It'll be a good idea if you are very comfortable with the test structure. So you can go to any website here. GMAT is basically taken by GMAT, that is the official test taking center, authority for GMAT, and GRE is administered by ETS. So you can go to the authentic website of both the tests and look at the sections that are there. When you're looking at the GMAT, you would find here there are 4 sections. Whereas when you look at GRE basically has 3 sections where there is more of a writing, I would say. In GMAT, there is one essay that you need to do, that is the analytical writing ability. So your scores that come up, it comes up as your quant score, your verbal reasoning, or your analytical reasoning. Different schools look at different parameters depend like to find out whether you would be the best fit for that college or not. So you can actually see even in the structure, is this something that you would like to go for? So GRE, it's little writing heavy, so you would have 2 essays in 60 minutes. GMAT, just 1 essay, 30 minutes. GRE has a little experimental section where you can, there are experimental questions. Therefore, I told you GRE might be favorable for students who comes from the science background. So this experimental sections can either be in quant or in verbal. So that's a 35-minute section there. The GMAT has an additional section called as integrated reasoning. As I told you in the previous slide, GMAT is basically looked at in the by the business school. So they would look at a person who has very strong reasoning ability. So therefore they have this additional section of integrated reasoning where you need to answer around 12 questions in 30 minutes. However, this section is not there in the GRE. When you're looking at the verbal sections, you would find there is, one verbal section in GMAT, two verbal sections in GRE, and GRE tends to be very heavy on the vocabulary. So when you look at the verbal sections for both GRE and GMAT, for GMAT, you would have to have a very good reasoning ability. Your grammar has to be very nice, very good, but maybe you are, you can skip the vocabulary part, but whereas when it comes to the GRE, it is very strong in vocabulary. You need to make those flashcards, you need to learn a lot of vocabularies. So a tip for you would be, if you are good at this, good at knowing words, and you have a bunch of friends preparing for this, it can be a good idea for you to look at now which would be a comfortable verbal section for you, whether the GRE verbal section would be good for you, which is vocabulary heavy, or a GMAT verbal section will be good for you, which is reasoning heavy and grammar heavy. All right. The quant section here again, in GMAT, we just have one quant section, 31 questions to be answered in 62 minutes, so 2 minutes per question. In the GRE, you have two sections, 40 questions. You need to answer them in 70 minutes. I have heard from students saying that the quant section for GMAT tends to be harder compared to GRE. GRE seems to, the quant section for GRE, people say it's easier. And also for the quant section, you can use a calculator in GRE, whereas calculators are not allowed in GMAT. So if you are the student who have gone for abacus classes and you can do a lot of mental calculations, which is a test you need to choose from here, right? Though GRE, I would say the calculator is allowed, there is a times constraint there. So unless and until you really need to put in that calculator, use the calculator, I would say a little bit of mental calculation is even needed to ace the GRE with a good score, right? So this is how the entire, sections look. If you want, you can take a screenshot of the two, right? When we are looking at the test design, both GRE and GMAT tends to be computer adaptive. Computer adaptive means, the way when you're answering your questions, the difficulty level would adjust to your level in terms of, how you are, answering the questions. So in this here, the difference between the GRE and the GMAT in the adaptive test would be, the GMAT is a question adaptive. So if you're answering questions, it will throw you, if you're answering all correctly, as in when you go below, your questions would be slightly higher, the difficulty level would be higher, right? Whereas when we are talking of the GRE is section adaptive. Like I told you about the sections in the previous slide. So it is a computerized test. Both are computerized tests. Both are adaptive tests. So you might be a little mindful as to, what would you like to go for? One is question adaptive, one is section adaptive. Also, when we are looking at the scoring system, so GRE would be a total of 340. GMAT, you get a total score of 800. So basically, the lowest, if someone gets in a GRE, would be 260, right? So I haven't seen any student getting below that. So you get a scale of 200 to 800 in GMAT, 260 to 340 in GRE. For GMAT, the increment is 10-point increment. For GRE, you have 1-point increment. So when you're looking at, the scores for your quant and verbal, we have normal scores for GRE, whereas when you are looking at the quant score and, the verbal score for GMAT, it would be a scaled, it will be a scaled score. Cost-wise, GMAT tends to be expensive than GRE. However, the validity of both the tests is 5 years, right? So till now, what have we learned about both the tests? These are tests taken by students who would like to do their masters abroad. Also, I told you, even in India, we do have a lot of B schools and central universities who would accept this course, to admit you into their program. It could be sciences like the MTech programs where a GRE score might be looked into. It could be even a MBA program in a central university or a B school where they will look at your GMAT score. Okay, both the test gives the university an idea about the student who is coming to study in their school. It gives them an idea of whether you would be able to fit into the rigor of that university or of that course or not. So these are basically indicators. So this is how you can find out when you zero it down. I'm surfing it from the top. I haven't gone into details of each section because this is something that you can do later if you're actually zeroing down. All right, so you can go each section wise. What are the similarities between the two tests? What are the differences between the two tests? Is there any difference in the type of questions that are there? Right, so I just gave you a broad idea as to which would be the pointers that you would look at where if you are deciding whether to take a GMAT or a GRE. All said and done, these are just scores to show whether you are putting in that extra effort, whether you are prepared enough to take your journey overseas, or you're prepared to take that leap to do a management program or a master's program. All said and done, these are part of your entire profile, right? Your along with the scores, most universities would also look at your undergrad performances. They would look at the internship, the work experience that you have in any field that you're looking for. All right, they would look at your letters of recommendations that you'll be getting from either your employers or your university professors. They would look at the statement of purpose that you will be writing while getting into these colleges. Plus, many a times, a lot of master's program application have an interview option with them. So all of this together would be a good idea to give you whether I'm getting into that college or not. GRE is just a parameter to add to your holistic profile. Yeah, GRE or GMAT is just a parameter where a university would will see whether you are fitting it fitting well into their university academic program, or the rigor of the program will you be fitting in. So I would generally suggest, if you're looking at um, a B school, make a comparative list. Okay, go to the university websites and see what are the mid-range GRE or the GMAT score that this university is looking at. Okay, many a times when you are browsing the net, you would find universities will say that GRE and GMAT is not a mandate. All right, a lot of universities would say these are optional tests, right? It would really depend on you whether you are ready to take it up. As an advisor, I always say it is a difficult journey ahead. So it is always good to prepare yourself well. So whether the university is asking for a GRE or a GMAT score or not, it is always good as a student if you are prepared, for such a standardized test, right? So make sure, when you're shading that $250 or $200, you are well prepared. So take the test only when you think you are very well prepared. All right. So how do we decide which test do we take now? So as I told you before, there are authorized bodies which takes this test. You can go to their website. For GMAT, it is GMAC, GMAC, and for GRE, the testing body is ETS. So you can go and take the diagnostic test. You can in fact take both the diagnostic test if you're not very sure as to where you will be scoring well. Take the diagnostic test, ask the few primary questions that are very, very important for you. Like, you are only targeting to B schools, right? You're very sure that you want to go for a business management program, take a GMAT. Okay, look at the acceptance of the university, where they are, what kind of score they are accepting. lot of times you would find the university would give you a choice between a GRE and GMAT, because these scores are convertible as well, right? So if you have taken a GRE and if the university is looking for a GMAT score, they can convert your GRE score to a GMAT score. But all said and done, you will have to be comfortable to take the test, and you should have, you should score well, right? So when you're taking a diagnostic test, it gives you a fair good idea, so that you can balance out what are your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, verbal might be your strength, quant might not be your strength. So if verbal is your strength, the GRE verbal portion is, higher level, a lot of vocabulary is there. Whereas a verbal section for GMAT, it is reasoning and grammar based. So look into the verbal section where, where your strength lies. Look into the quant section. The quant tends to be difficult in GMAT, and in GRE, the quant is comparatively easier when I speak of GMAT versus GRE. And also you have an advantage of using the calculator. So see, in both the cases, which is something that you would look ahead with. Like, if you're good with quant, and also the program that you're looking at. All right, what kind of program you're looking at? You might be looking at a program which is more experimental. In that case, I would say, a GRE tends to be very good. Yeah, because they have experimental section as well. If you are looking at, somewhere where you will be going for a project, you'll be handling a lot of people, a more management kind of thing, then, you will have to have a very good balance of quant as well as verbal. So look into those parameters when you're doing your diagnostic test. It is always better to, if you're in confusion, take the first step ahead. First, take a diagnostic test. Or what you can do, look at the target colleges that you're looking at. So these are my target colleges. If you need help to find out, which would be your target colleges, we are here in IDC. So, see what is the range that the colleges would look at. Accordingly, you can zero down on either of the two tests and, prepare well so that you get a good score here. Many a times students do take the test again and again, I would say. Not advisable. If you feel, that your preparation is right, try and get the best score in your first attempt itself. All right. Go ahead with the second attempt only and only if you feel there would be a marked difference in the score. Okay. These are expensive tests, as I told you. So it doesn't really make a sense if you are taking the GRE. So there would be an option. You can take the GMAT after 16 days or so, for GRE also you can repeat the test. But it is not worth doing it unless and until you're very sure that your score would at least come, in a scale of 10, 20, if you're looking at GRE, it should come in the score should come up well. There has to be a good difference in the score. So you need to identify that, and rest, prepare well. So the conclusion here, I have just kind of shortened it. I'll be going for another standardized test for the undergrad student. For today's weekly career class, I basically targeted our UG students who are looking to go abroad for their master's program or their MBA program, right? If you are a student who is currently in your second year graduation or first year graduation, or maybe you have just come to your third year, this would be a right time to take a GRE or a GMAT and or GMAT diagnostic test. Find out which are your weaknesses and strengths. Play your strength and work on your weakness during this time. Get friends around you who would be preparing along with you for this, because I have seen in most of the verbal section, if you're doing it alone, you tend to be a little confident that yes, I know, right? So a one word goes in and three might just go out, you would not realize. So use good techniques to learn. You would find a lot of online material, a lot of YouTube channels. You would also find a group of people who would like to come together, study together. right? So you can, this is a very good way, collaborative learning is very good. It helps you, retain few things. You can actually, correlate a lot of things together. So it, when the time comes to take your test, it helps you, get back to those words, that you have done. Use flashcards. Some of them are completely free online, so you can use that. Look at the profile of the students for the target university that you're planning to apply for. What is the mid-range GRE or GMAT score that your university is looking at? So when I'm talking about mid-range, it's like, the 50% of the class that you will be going in would have a GRE range from here to here, or a GMAT range from here to here. So if you have gone through the university mid-range scores, it gives you a better idea to target your score. So this should be my target score if I want to get into this universities or this B schools, right? Also make sure if you're completely focused on GMAT, all right, know which are the B schools you are targeting. If you are looking at GRE, where you're not very sure, that you might just look, go for a business analytics program, you might go for sciences as well, right? So if it is sciences, generally students take the GRE. Some of the B schools also accept the GRE. So if you are planning to switch, from a normal master's program to a management program, a MBA program or so, make sure that the school where you're applying do accept a GRE score. So a lot of time, these are something which the university will let you know, or it will be there in the university portal. All right. So that's it. I think I have, I spent 27 minutes. We will be ready for question and answers. If you have any questions related to this, do let us know. You can check it out in the YouTube channel also. We would come across, we will, in the next few days, we will be planning more weekly classes. So I'm keeping it little short so that you can absorb it, and at least you know how you should be going ahead with it. So we do profile building. We help you, make a decision in your career. We help you win university and country shortlisting, application formalities. Even we guide you with visa processes and all. So when you are looking at profile building, I'm reiterating myself, GRE or GMAT, these are scores which adds to your profile. All right. Many a times I have seen students. In fact, there was a student who came to me in 2021. Yeah, 2021 December. So for this girl, she was from a science student, did well in her English test, but her GRE wasn't, up to mark. But it did not matter when, she got an admit in NYU. All right. So when she was looking for the program, the university or the admission officer was looking at her experimental skills. So this girl had good publications, and she was doing, looking forward to doing something in the research oriented area. So it would also depend on what the university is looking at. So, sometimes it might be that you have taken the GRE, you may not declare the score as well. Also, I just missed out on something. When you're taking a GRE or a GMAT, there is a provision to send your score directly to the university. So if you are very sure that these are the universities that I am applying to, while you're taking the GRE, you can send the scores, like for GMAT, you can send up to 5 universities your scores for free. Whereas if you're sending your GRE score up to a certain limit, it's free. But if you're sending to more number of universities your GRE score, there might be an additional expense attached to it. All right, so make sure of that. And this is our phone number and email address. I think you might have already made a note of it. So with that, I stop my PPT, and then maybe we can look ahead in getting some questions regarding, your doubts
Right.
between GRE and GMAT. Yes.
So there are a couple of questions for Budawam for you. So
Yeah.
first question is coming: how long one should prepare or study for GMAT or GRE?
All right. Good question. I have seen students getting a very good score with 40 days of preparation itself. And I have also seen students who have taken around 6 to 7 months and got the same score. So here, when I am talking about the time frame, if you are academically doing well, and if you are so one would be the diagnostic test. If you take the diagnostic test, see where are you falling in that bracket. Okay. And then if you know a target, you can plan accordingly, which is the area that you'll have to work more. Okay, ideally I would say someone with a mid-range aptitude would require at least 3 months of good preparation, at least 3 months. But there are students, as I told you, within even 1 month of preparation, they got 330 in GRE. I have also seen student with 2 months of preparation getting a 720 in GMAT, right? But these are all depends on how well you prepare and how well you understand and analyze yourself to find out what are your strengths and weaknesses. Okay. As a tip, what I tell students, if you're doing a question paper, a GRE question paper, mock question paper, if you're doing, it is always good to do the same question paper at least twice or thrice. Okay. And then understand, what are your weaknesses? Are you going wrong in repetitive sections? Or, it might be a possibility that you got a correct answer in the first attempt, and as you take the test twice or thrice, you're making mistake in the ones that you have got them correct in the previous one. So I would say this is a lot to do with your own time involvement. Ideally, 60 days is something which I would say is average good time if you rigorously prepare for it. Okay, the students who are in the second year and all, they can spend 6 to 7 hours a week on preparing for the standardized test.
One more question. Which are the good resources to really give these mock tests?
All right. So the best resource would be going through the authorized test taking bodies. Like as I told you, for GRE, go to ETS website. You would have preparatory materials there. For GMAT, it is GMAC. Otherwise, we have a lot of Princeton Review is there, Magoosh is there, Kaplan is there, Baron is there. So you have a lot of materials or course material available. However, the first point should be the the authorized website and the material that you get from there, and then build it on. Some have very good practice for quant. In few like Kaplan, people say the verbal section is good. Magoosh, the quant section is good. All said and done, first go through the material that the ETS or the GMAC website would be providing. To top it up, there with that material, analyze your strengths and weaknesses. All right. And after analyzing that, if you find that this is the weaker area, and to improve on this, I might have to go to this resource, right? So there are quite a few. So even there are coaching institutes. I would say my answer to both the questions would be same. Even if you're looking at a good coaching institute, take a diagnostic test first. In that case, it gives you a better idea as to what is the area that I want my coach to prepare me on. Okay. And if you are not very sure, in that case, I would say, you should reach out to an expert who would be able to help you find this more.
Right. Arjun is asking, if I am applying for Masters in Management program, shall I go with GMAT or GRE?
Okay. So if you are very sure that you are looking for a management program, I would suggest. And also, if you are comfortable with the sections that are there in your GMAT, you can be going for GMAT. All said and done, you should have, you need to check. If you come from a science background and then looking for a management program, like an engineering student would look for a management program. For them, I have found that GRE tends to be more suitable. But if you have come from a business background only, you have 11th and 12th, you have done in commerce, graduation, you are doing it in commerce, you might as well go for the GMAT, because GMAT if you look at the wide acceptance, almost 7,000 universities, they will be looking at the GMAT score. Even in India, the B schools will be looking at your GMAT score. Okay, so but again, see yourself if you're comfortable with that section. All right, so it's slightly expensive, and so prepare well. So good luck with it. So GMAT, I would say, if you're very sure this is the program I really want to go for, then for business, I would say GMAT gives you a better edge. Okay.
Another question from Sneha. So she's asking, with 3-year undergraduation, which I also feel a lot of the students ask this question. With 3-year undergraduation, do Indians stand any chance to gain admission in any graduation program, US?
For US, it tends to be difficult, not impossible, because the number of B schools, even the top ones would be, saying that they would accept a 15-year, international degree. But again, you would really, it's not just the GMAT or the GRE score, as I told you. They will also look at the kind of profile you have, right? So if you have done something brilliant, during your undergrad, you have, maybe you are the CEO of a company that you have started and that company is doing well, then why not? You do get a chance to get into this. UK tends to be a very easy country if you are looking forward to having a overseas experience. I tell a lot of students, after a 3-year degree here, if you don't want to have a gap year, or if you don't want to go for a job and get the work experience, after during graduation only, prepare, apply for UK, do that 1 year of program in UK, and from there you can move ahead to US. So that can be a good route if you have your financials in plan. For UK, some of the top schools would look at your GRE or a GMAT score. Okay, then, but the 15-year degree is very well accepted. Otherwise, what I would say is join a master's program here in India. If you're very sure that you are looking for some kind of specialization, and while you are in your master's first year, you will be able to apply to colleges in US. That will make it 3+1, and you would be able to apply to a wide range of university. With a 3-year, your scope gets just narrowed down a little.
Okay, so I'm taking last question. So many Indian B school accept GMAT score. Do they also accept GRE score?
Oh yes, some of the university, the central universities, if you look at, B schools may not accept GRE. You see, here you would have to look into the comfort of the school, whether they would be able to convert. Though you have a universal converter also, which converts your GRE into a GMAT score, but the university may not be familiar with it. Okay, so if you're preparing for GRE and you're looking for business school, you will have to check it with the school whether they would be accepting it or not. Anyways, these scores are valid for 5 years, so it's no harm taking it a little ahead, right? But yes, the central universities and all, they would give you an oblique, GMAT, oblique, GRE, oblique. In India, we also have, the GATE exam, GAT. So even for MTech, the GRE is considered by a few of the institutes here in India.
So I think with this, we have came towards the end of the session.
I think there is a question in the chat box. Did we take that?
Yeah.
Aarti, okay, fine.
We have taken all the questions now.
Great.
So guys, if you have more questions, you can post us in the chat box. Otherwise, Parmita ma'am has already given you our contact number, and you can also check our website, that is www.itdreamcareer.com. So you can check and register for a one-to-one orientation session also with us. Okay, so thank you, Parmita ma'am, for a lovely session. It was very informative. So this is the time for the announcement. Guys, we are relaunching our CCC program again from 26th of the month. And if all the counselor present here, if any one of you are interested to join this program, I am just putting the link in the chat box. So you can just fill up this form and let us know about, what are your interests with the same. Apart from that, if you have any questions from our expert today, just let us know. Our comment section is open. for the
And
query.
also, Bushra, I would like, our audience to say, do you want us to do any weekly class or any specific topic? Do let us know, then we can come up with, those topics as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we would love to hear from you that what topics you are interested listening from our experts. We would definitely, cover all your queries and concerns that you have, with keeping in mind that, students who have already got admission, if still you have any queries, let us know. We probably do a session on, probably a pre-departure, or, once you reach there, what are the challenges that you might face that you should be aware of, or we can also do a session on, our upcoming intake as well. So just let us know in the comment section in the same in the same stream, so that we know what you guys are looking at and we are prepared accordingly. Yeah. So for career counselor certification, I've already shared the link in the chat box. Just fill up the form, or you can directly contact us also for the same, if you are interested in enrolling for the same, right? So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, Dr. Vidyut, Jyoti Bansal. They really loved the session, ma'am. So we hope to bring more such informative sessions soon again.
Yes.
So we keep all these live sessions for specifically overseas, every third week of the month, Saturday, every third week, Saturday of the month. So you can just, check our YouTube channel for updates, right?
So we will
All
be
right.
going forward for the undergrad, because the SAT is changing from 2023 onwards. So we are planning to do, what is new in the SAT. We would also do on scholarships and financial aids and all, right? So stay tuned for the weekly career classes. Okay. So it's like, as Bushra said, third week, Saturday, 5 p.m. All right.
Thank you, Parmita ma'am. Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
lovely weekend, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.